Well, hello again. It's good to see everyone back. I hope you are all well. I have been good myself, but let's just crack on, shall we? Otherwise, we're going to be talking all day. So, as you may remember from last time, the last sort of recording session, so it must have been, what, 6 or 7 videos or so that we did. We went from having negative happiness, negative gold. We weren't doing, I mean, we were doing well, but a typical wide start, sometimes you don't see the benefit of it for a little while, but we managed to sort of turn things around quite well, which is always good. So now we're in a golden age. We've got some positive happiness, positive gold. Now, if you remember, as we just press ahead with the turns a little bit, our goal was to try and get a military victory, which shouldn't be too difficult, seeing as we've got a fairly good standing army at the moment. The other victory options are a little bit away from us at the moment. We've fought and we've been to war with a city-state, so diplomacy might be tricky. Culturally, we haven't got into tourism, and we're such a wide empire. Unless you really plug the religion, which we kind of missed out on religion a little bit at the start. We were a bit slow on uptake there, which is very unlike how I normally play, and it's really annoyed me. So next game we're gonna focus on religion a bit more. We can't really go for a cultural victory as such. Which leaves us with scientific. Scientific's always on the table, really, and you can focus on a scientific victory, but normally that requires lots of tall cities, lots of population, lots of beakers. We've only got 41, as you see. I mean, we might be able to turn it around later in the game, but it's looking unlikely. So it may be that we just have to go for a military victory, but for our first video, that's not too bad an option. Now, if you remember, we said that we weren't going to be building any more cities for the moment. We've got 8. 8's a nice number. We are going to just build up the infrastructure a little bit, focus on maybe growing our capital up a little bit, get some national wonders in there, a national college and ironworks, that sort of thing would probably be quite handy for us. And as you can see, a lot of these options that you would normally go for, Circus Maximus as well, some happiness, these options are all unavailable to us because our peripheral cities are so underdeveloped, but that is typical from wide play. If we were going really, truly wide play, either we would have built up the capital right at the start of the game to get some of these buildings, or we would completely ignore them. We'd have 20, 30 cities, which I think I might do for next play. I think our next playthrough we might go for really, really wide, see if I can show everyone what that looks like, because we've spread out a bit, but you know, we haven't gone crazy with the spreading, which is always kind of good fun to do. So we'll pull back to a little bit. So anyway, what have we got? So Milan isn't too happy with us at the moment. He was friends with us, but we've lost that. We've lost that culture per turn. That's primarily because you can see a lot of these. It's not even a hostile not even hostile. Nice friendly city-state, really. They want to be our friends, but you know, we did kill Congo. They're not too happy. Minus 1.5 per turn influence, especially as we're playing on epic, which is a slower playthrough than normal. That's a long time to have to get that back. So anyway, this caravan is just doing trade routes with city-states. We'll just have a quick check. Nope, you see, none of the city-states want a specific trade route. They just want roads, which, to be honest, I can't be bothered to pay for that upkeep. So we'll just literally pick the one that is the best. And if you remember, Mombasa is a good option for us because it stays within our territory. There's no chance of that being plundered unless someone really were to sort of press themselves into our lands a little bit. Now, we have an option here. We are sort of torn between keeping our cities at a reasonable amount of population and controlling the happiness, or we can say, look, it's unlikely we're going to grow the number of cities any further, so we could just grow these up a little bit, or we could just keep these small and make our capital really big. So those are the 3 options. We either keep the low population, keep the happiness up, we can grow the capital and keep everything else low, or we can grow all of the cities sort of, you know, to say 6 or 7, get a bit of extra manpower everywhere. I think especially if we were going to go for some of the late game wonders, I mean, if we're looking at demographics, our literacy isn't great. We're going to go into Renaissance era soon, so we'll be able to start stealing some technologies from people like China. But we're not going to fall too far behind, hopefully. But having a good capital, especially for wonders like Notre Dame, that sort of thing might come in really handy. So what I might start to do is I might start to get internal food routes coming to the capital. We can start pumping that full of food, which might work really well. And we can control the happiness and the population of our little places. So let me explain a little bit what I mean. So we're going to go into a Kidka, which is our biggest one for now. And you can see that we've got a circus, we've got a coliseum, and we've got a shrine. If you remember from our religion, shrines give us +1 happiness in cities with 3 followers. So effectively, the local happiness buff that we've got in this place is 5 happiness, which is offset perfectly against the 5 population. Now, if I were to build another, say, zoo, which increases happiness by 2, I wouldn't actually see an effect because the happiness would come over the top of the citizens and it would give us no effect. It's the difference between local happiness and global happiness. Global is, say, buildings like the Circus Maximus or Finding World Wonders, that sort of thing will give you happiness regardless. So actually keeping these cities locked on the amount of happiness that they can currently take is a good idea. So this, as you can see, so we're gonna do that really quickly. We're gonna control what we're doing. So the capital we're gonna let grow just naturally, which is going to be great. Okay, Timok. You can see here the Chichen Itza, so that gives global happiness. So we're gonna ignore that. So Circus, Colosseum, Shrine, 5 happiness. We're at 6 population. So this one is actually giving me -1 happiness. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click avoid growth, put it onto default focus. Let's see what it's going to, all the options. Well, we were keeping some production focus for now, weren't we? A little bit of a hit to gold, but if it gets us the Petra, that's great. So let's quickly do this. So Kidka, we've just counted this, is 5. We're at 5 citizens. Brilliant. We'll avoid growth and we'll go on to default focus. Now, do you see here? It's actually giving me great merchant points. It's using one of the population to do that. Let's just take this away. Let's see. So we've got 7.5 production, which isn't great. Let's take this away. Does give us a little bit more production if we do that. Do you see here? It jumps from 7.5 to 8.75. We lose a bit of gold by doing that. I think it's probably worth keeping it for now. We won't worry about that too much. Congo. You see, we've got no circus here. We don't have any worked animals that will give us that bonus. Possibly, actually, no, I don't think there's anything that's going to come in. So I think we've only got 3 happiness here. So again, we'll avoid growth. This one's going to be slightly smaller, but there we go. That's just gonna have to live with that. We're going to flick to production focus as well. There was no point getting this one. I don't know why it was on that actually. There's no point having that wander. If it's not going to be worked. And actually 12 production, 8 gold on a peripheral city, that's not too bad. Geschuti, this can go higher. We've got 5, Circus, Colosseum, Shrine, that's 5 happiness and only 3 citizens. So I am going to let this one grow. I'm going to just pump that onto food focus. It's going to take a little while, but hopefully we can get a little bit more in the way of population in that place. Well, this is such a new place, Bahukwi. Should I rename these cities? I'm tempted to rename them. Give them names that I might remember. I don't know what you guys. Leave me a comment if you think I should start to rename my names. We'll go for something mildly funny. Well, I think it's funny and no one else does, possibly. But as you can see, we've got nothing in the way of happiness here, so we'll just avoid growth here. Just see that the food cuts down to 0 and the production jumps up as the citizens reallocate themselves, so that's fine. The default focus is pretty good. We'll keep it on that. Again, we've got the Colosseum, but until we build some of the other buildings in this place, I'm going to avoid growth on that one. Wajaki, and we're back to the capital. So that was nice and quick. We're going to have we've got a workshop being built in the capital, but I'm going to flick this to food focus. It's going to, you see, our production is cut in half, which will make the workshop a little slower. But if we can we just want to get this capital to be as big as possible. Now what I'm going to do is we need to start pumping food into the capital, but the problem is that we are not going to be able to do that unless we've got granaries in our cities. Now Geschuti was one of the cities we were going to grow, so I might actually, whilst we're here, I'm going to just rush by a granary. And is it going to let me get a caravan as well, or is that going to be too expensive? 500 for caravan. Okay, fair enough. Well, anyway, this is going to help grow Geschuti up a little bit. We can get that to population 5 quickly. But what I will then do is the next place that becomes available, I'll get 2 caravans being built, and say we can have Geschuti and Washaki. Was that the other one? No, that wasn't the one we were going to grow. we'll take a look, and we'll pump food into the capital, which hopefully should give us a lot more in the way of growth in the capital. And we can start to get this thing really big. And you can see here we've got 12 excess happiness. We may as well just burn all of that. Golden ages are great, but actually sometimes having bigger cities can really help you in the long run. Now, one of the options that we could have taken, normally when I play wide, as I was referring to earlier, I like to really focus on a religion. We lost out on religion. I think we were, say, the 3rd or 4th religion to be made. I can't remember. Again, the problem about having a 9-to-5 job like I've got is I record, say, an hour and a half of this, which I think works out as 6 or 7 episodes. I might not get back to it for another 3 or 4 days, and it's really difficult to keep track of what's happening. But I think if we have the 3rd or 4th religion, something like that, which meant that most of the good perks were already gone by the time we wanted to find the religion, which was a bit of a pain. That's not exactly how we would have liked to have played that. So normally, as I say, now when we go wide, we want to get a religion really early, because that really helps with golden happiness. I mean, you can see here that we've got founder belief, which is happiness for every 2 cities, which has given me 4 happiness. That's great. That's like having another die or, luxury resource. But we're looking at some of the beliefs that have been taken. I really like church property, plus 2 gold for each city following a religion. Yes, I'd lose 4 happiness if I didn't have the one I had at the moment, but I'd be getting at least 16 gold more per turn. That really does build up quickly. And again, I've got mosques, which is great, but I've got the +1 happiness for shrines, but I missed out on pagodas. Pagodas are brilliant. 2 faith, 2 culture, 2 happiness. You can, if you imagine, it doesn't seem like much, but 2 happiness in every city, that can exponentially increase the population of a 20-city empire. That's suddenly 40 more population just freely available to you. It's brilliant. I love that a lot. Often when I go super wide as well, I go piety. I actually start on piety, go down to organised religion, and then go across to liberty to build up the thing. But we've gone honour this time, and we may as well just finish up going honour. We're going to, as I say, we're going to go for a military victory, and I think we're going to wait. We are going to go in technology, and we're going to get to industrialisation, I think. Hopefully we'll pick up order pretty quickly by building some factories. We've got a lot of territory under our control, so fingers crossed we'll have a bunch of coal that we can get. But it's going to be typical, isn't it? We're going to grow, and there's going to be no coal inside my territory. It's going to be down here, and we're going to be like, oh, another city needed.